Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all could hear me. What's up, Cassie D? Welcome to the live stream. In today's live stream, we are going to be talking about why the Atlantic hurricane season fails to wake up from where it's at right now with not much activity out there, and when I think we might possibly see an opportunity of tropical development sometime in September. Now, I'm not being specific on when in September we will see it, but it will be sometime in September. There's a lot of uncertainty right now that remains in the model guidance on exactly how this is all going to play out. It's like a monkey wrench, just kind of step foot in, and the whole this period is just really quiet versus with what it could be once the bell literally starts ringing, which it did 3 days ago. Can't believe it's been 72 hours since Bill Gray, literally at the Colorado State University, would ring his bell saying that the season is now officially ramping up in a hurry. Doesn't look like that's happening right now. So welcome everybody. Welcome Heidi. Hayden, welcome Hayden. I meant to say welcome Elevator Tours by Rain Maves. What's up Jack? Welcome Titan. Welcome. I hope you all are doing great. What's up Suzanne? So we're gonna get started and take a look at the Atlantic. We're gonna be looking at Africa as well because we really need to look at that too. We're gonna really Someone really made a good comment in my video yesterday asking me that, can you better explain why this season's going to be very quiet? And I feel like I cannot fit it into a 25-minute video. So that's why we're actually we're doing a stream today and we're going to better explain this in great detail. So this is now the time where you need to invite your friends, to invite your family, to invite all your relatives to the live stream because when it comes to videos, I like to keep those short. I don't want to go 40 or 50 minutes explaining myself on what this means, what that means, and I like to save that for these live streams. All right, so now's a chance to invite your friends and family, share this, like it, put it out on Twitter. I forgot to do that, unfortunately, but you could also put it on Twitter yourself, or on X, we should say. So right now, this is the way the entire Atlantic looks like here from the GOES 16 True Color Visible Satellite Imagery, courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com, Dr. Levi Cowan's website that makes this all possible. And yeah, there's not a whole lot of deep convection out there, and you all are probably like, where is it all at? Well, we got a lot of dry air, and that's the problem right now. This whole area up here is just very dry, lots of Saharan dust, lots of Saharan air layer out there. Here's a nice little plume of dust that is getting ready to move off of Africa yet again because we have a tropical wave that I'll soon show you here on a more wider perspective of the satellite imagery over Central Africa. And then there's been some recent tweets about this over here, this area of disturbed weather off the Florida coast that has been in my Outlook. I did not do anything today as far as my Outlook goes. By the way, if you want to check that out, it is on my Twitter page. So if we actually scroll all the way down, that is basically kind of this overall envelope of energy. And I did put, let me full screen that. So that's basically this area right here over the Gulf of Mexico that I have highlighted. Now this was made at 2 in the morning. I do need to make another one of these. I try to do at least 2 a day. And this is not official from the National Hurricane Center, so I want to make that clear. But this is my very own discussion and my own outlook, and I give this area a 2% chance because of this area disturbed weather. It's very low. A 2% chance out of 100% is like nothing right now. But yeah, never want to take your eye off of the Gulf with water temperatures that are so warm, and there's not a whole lot of wind there. In fact, there's no wind over the Gulf at this very moment. So those water temperatures really, really warming up in a hurry still out there. Also, again, that disturbance. So now let's kind of look a little closer in. Let's zoom in. I have so many scenes here on OBS Studio. Sorry about that. So as we too take a look at the GO 16 True Color Visible Satellite Imagery. By the way, if you guys do end up getting disconnected off the stream, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what to tell you. So if you do get disconnected, click back onto the stream. So here's a tropical wave that is getting ready to come off of Africa. And you might think that, oh my gosh, this one is going to develop. Like all these tropical waves, when they over-impress people, they have a lot of deep convection. They're fairly organized over Africa. But the problem here has been that these waves go this way. They're actually moving off. Not the deep convection itself. That's more likely to move west, but the wave envelope is actually moving this way. What is this all up here, you all? This is all that dust coming off of Africa. It's dry, it's warm, it's hot, and it's just too stable. In fact, it's so stable, there is no low-level clouds at all along the coast there of Africa and in Morocco. That gives you an idea. This is a very, very stable layer coming off. And this is basically kind of it smothers anything out here. And in fact, if you look at some of these percolating deep convection, I mean, they pop and go off, and it's just, that's how dry the atmosphere really is. And so I could imagine what we're actually seeing right here is an actual squall line. One of these waves that actually develop a squall line, and they're moving, it's moving this way. So once that gets off of Africa, I can make a big bet right now. It's not going to look this impressive. That's what has been going on recently. These waves look, oh my gosh, it's going to develop, David. It's going to be one of these strongest tropical waves. Okay, yeah, but before we make assumptions that it's going to develop, let's see what it does once it moves over the Atlantic waters. And I can guarantee you this is going to be a huge tangled mess of just percolating convection, because just the background state right now over the Atlantic, not really favorable. We have a descending phase of the MJO moving over the area. And this is what we're seeing from the National Hurricane Center. Actually, let me zoom out. Okay, no, actually, that's perfect. So, in other words, trust the experts. The experts know what they're saying at the National Hurricane Center, and we will do the same here on this live stream. So, trust the experts. Nothing to worry about over the next 7 days. So, you can see that right there. Nothing to worry about. However, I will admit, I would not be surprised if an area gets highlighted here in the Gulf of Mexico. But again, I don't speak for the National Hurricane Center. I cannot make that decision. They have to make the decision. But I'm just saying, just don't be surprised if there's like a 10% chance of development, at least in the next 7 days in that area. It does not mean it's going to develop, but it's an area that the NHC would monitor or would be watching if they have an area to highlight. But for the time being, nothing to worry about in the next 7 days. So, and speaking of that, the 7 days does take us almost to the end of August. We will know a lot more by the time we go into Sunday, the 25th of August, because on the 25th, we have that whole week ahead of us. That goes through the 31st, the last full week of August, that is. And so we'll see if there's an area to highlight here, and we may get development the last day of August. We shall see. If we don't, that doesn't mean the season is canceled. So now let's take a look at Africa. Now I want to show you all, and it's getting to the extent where we just don't look at what's going on over here in Jamaica. Yeah, you got some thunderstorms going on, but it's really what we have over Africa. And for those that are watching this, we did have Gilma that peaked at a high-end category 3. We have Hone out there that's going to pass to the south of Hawaii. And of course, we're going to keep an eye on what Shan Shan does, or wait, Shan Shan, that is correct. That could become a very formidable typhoon as it heads towards Tokyo in Japan in the next 4 to 5 days. In fact, some of the models want that to a 200-mile-an-hour hurricane, or a typhoon, that is. So that would be a high ceiling for that. We won't talk much about that today, and probably towards the end of the video if you guys have any questions about that. But what I really want to talk about is the factory. This is the factory of tropical wave development off of Africa. You can see this is the dry area, Algeria, Egypt. If you're in Morocco over here, if you're in Sudan, Saudi Arabia over here, very dry places. But you got this what we call a tropical, intertropical convergence zone belt, or what we call our rain belt, that is. No, the intertropical convergence zone is not out here. It's actually pretty far to the north, where we have kind of the leading edge, because these winds kind of come off like this. So we have these trade winds that do this. That's why we get all this Saharan dust, and then we get these winds that curl back, what we call our westerlies. And you can see right in here is where we have that ITCZ, Intertropical Convergence Zone. And this year, it's been pretty far north. I'll show you some evidence in just a second about that. But here's one tropical wave right now, and yeah, this is fairly robust, but just because it's robust now does not mean it's going to be robust. These could kind of fly under the radar until they get, say, into the northwestern Caribbean, into the Gulf, or even into the Western Atlantic, and some of these could simply develop. In other words, we do not... if we have development here, so if we get a tropical system here, it's actually going to turn northwest sooner. It's a problem when they get over here, closer to land areas like the islands here of Barbados. So just because it looks all stable out there, we'll see how that pans out in early September. But there's wave number one. Here comes another wave that is beginning to develop already over Eastern Africa, over Ethiopia. This is what we call oh my gosh, I'm losing my words, folks. I'm really losing my words. I'm trying to get my words together here, what I'm trying to actually say. So this is what we call the Eastern African monsoon, or West African monsoon over here in Western Africa, and then you got Ethiopia over here, and this is all green and lush. So what I've noticed, actually, if we go to the HD radar, speaking of tropical waves here, I've noticed, watch this green area right in here. All this green is the northern extent of the ITCZ, Intertropical Convergence Zone. As we go back, we can see back in 2020, this will actually load. Will it actually load? Come on. It is going to load. It's going to take its time. Doesn't seem like a whole lot's going on here, but it's actually further south. All this green lush that we have right here is actually further south into southern Chad and as well southern Mali in Africa. All right, this is like hundreds of miles, 200s of miles, and that really makes a difference between where these waves develop and how they do. So, in other words, this year, the West African monsoon has actually been much more active, and that's one of the reasons why this intertropical convergence zone might be a little further north than what it should be. But that, again, doesn't discount the season. So there's other products that I could actually show you all, and one of those is actually this. So when we look at where it's at right now over the last 10 days, the intertropical front, that's what the ITF stands for. I circled that in yellow. And what we have here is that this red line, this is back here more average, maybe slightly north. But what the problem has been is this central and eastern extent to the intertropical front, the intertropical convergence zone, actually being at least 400 or 500 miles, actually 300 or 400 miles north than what it actually should be. Where this front actually is where we get convergence. So again, easterly flow here, southwesterly flow here, and when this is actually further to the north, there's actually stronger southwesterly winds that pull this northward. And so what ends up actually happening is the southerlies become more dominant here and lift this north. And then what you get is break off, these waves breaking off, and they head more further north. So they end up exiting out here in, say, central northern Morocco in Africa. And, well, what you guys could all guess. Well, what's north of the ITF? Well, there's a lot of dust. It's dry, it's hot, and it's dusty. And what do cyclones not like? They don't like dry, dusty, warm, or hot Saharan air that is located over here, over Nigeria, over these other populated areas. Make sure I got that correctly. Algeria. That's Nigeria's over here. Or Saudi Arabia. I got it close. Somewhere rather. There's Morocco. And yeah. So we can see here, very dusty. And you even see here in the last image, showing some dust coming off of Africa. So that's why, and also this is another reason, culprit behind all of this too. This blue line is south of Algeria. Okay, thanks for the correction. See, I'm not really familiar with all the states in Africa, so I do apologize by that. So actually, they're countries. Each of them are countries. See, I'm even getting myself confused here. But on a side note, so this blue line is the observed mean position of the ITF. So the intertropical front or convergent zone. This is actually notably further north. Okay, so really, it's supposed to be 18 degrees north in latitude. This is not 18 degrees north in latitude here. This is 20 degrees, and that makes a huge difference on why these waves are coming off further north. Further north they are, the more drier air they're going to entrain, and they're just not going to survive the wrath over most of the Atlantic. But there is evidence that will be changing here. Excuse me. So when we look at the forecast from the Climate Prediction Center, this is the global hazards outlook from their webpage. So you can also you can go simply to cpc.ncep.noaa.gov/products/precipitation, and you can find their products here. And a lot of you are probably like, oh my gosh, there's a 60% chance of tropical development. I'm not discounting this. I don't want to say I'm wrong, but it seems very awkward what I'm about to show you on the GFS model and some other models. This 60% might not really exist through the 3rd of September. Really an underperformance here currently of what our expectations are. With what this is actually showing from the Climate Prediction Center Global Tropics Hazards Outlook. Now, we will see how this relates to week 3. Still, September 4th through the 10th here, they're indicating a medium chance of tropical development that is supposedly supposed to make its presence known over the central and eastern main development region. We have yet to see that. We have yet to see things emerge. I know we've had 2 systems in August so far, so at least we have not went August without one named storm at all. But sadly, those systems have hit land, such as Bermuda, such as Florida over here, and caused a lot of devastation. And if you guys are wondering if this season is underperforming, it really isn't. Because we have had, well, 5 named storms, and you all can probably guess in the live stream what have those 5 named storms have done. Have those 5 named storms been fish storms, or have those 5 storms made landfall? So see the difference? So more impactful this season overall, despite were not 2020 version or 2005. Yeah, those were different seasons for many reasons. So here's a look at the GFS model, and I'm seeing this pretty much for the first time. So as we go forward, actually, this is kind of spoiler alert here. Let's go all the way back to 84 hours. So, of course, really nothing out there. Now, there is something over here in the Gulf, right over here in the northeastern Gulf, that does try to spin up. Now, there's not a lot of model consensus that this is actually going to develop, and it really doesn't do much once it does do so. And then the GFS really not indicating much at all in the next 7 days virtually. There's nothing out there. And yeah, this is very deceiving for a lot of people, such as myself, expecting a very busy season. But maybe this is one of those seasons. There's a monkey wrench out there that wants to just change the season around on us. There's a possibility this does not perform as the expectations, and it is possible we get a below average season. I don't want to kind of go ahead of myself and say it will be a below average season, because we still have about 85% of our season ahead of us, almost 90%, and a lot can change within the next 60 days or so. And actually, theoretically, in the next 90 days, well, wait, yeah, because that would be through November 23rd. So, yeah, a lot can change between now and then. And maybe we get a late start to the more peak of the hurricane season, the meat of it, and then it just lasts all the way through early December. So as we go forward here, we can see there is a tropical system that does try to develop in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. So we can see that orange blop or blip there, indicating some spin in the atmosphere. But again, this is 10 days out, and if we look at prior runs, it did not even have it there. So it is worth noting now, this is the first run that has been pretty aggressive on that same system, and not any other model run has shown it right now. So we will see how that kind of develops in future model runs. Is that our next system? Is that our letter F storm, Francine? We will have to see. But otherwise, out here in the deep tropics, there is nothing out there at all. In fact, if we look at the upper level winds, there's actually quite a little bit of westerly wind shear that cuts across here. And if that's not enough, let's look at our shear forecast, and you can see some westerly shear moving through. This easterly flow does not quite abate yet. It's not as far north as it is now. That's the reasoning behind all this shear, but it doesn't go away entirely, as we can see on the latest GFS. It slows down a little bit, but still we have that easterly flow coming off of Africa, still bringing a lot of that wind shear, still above normal wind shear values over that area. So maybe the intertropical convergence zone is just more active this season than it should actually be. And you can see that blue, still stronger than normal easterly winds that are out there with this model. So let's take a look now at most of Africa, what it's actually showing here, because this is really important, because what comes off of Africa might end up in your area. So this is a look at the GFS, deep layer moisture plot, and we can see there is our tropical wave that is coming off of Africa right now. But guess what happens to it? Once it comes off of Africa, it disintegrates. See that? It just kind of fizzles right away, because there's a lot of drier air in the background state. There's more sinking motion over here in the African or off of Africa into, say, the Atlantic basin. And then there is more tropical waves. But guess what happens? These waves, again, come off at a northerly latitude. Again, these are not moving southward. We were thinking that could change in recent models, but that has since kind of not been there in the last few model runs. And I'm telling you, folks, this is taking us all the way out. If we actually go and look at the full sector here, this takes us out into September the 8th. Just nearly about 36 hours left before the peak of hurricane season arrives onto the GFS model, and we are not seeing anything at all. A lot of dry air out here. So this is really interesting to me, to seeing a lot of this drier air that just does not want to abate. Maybe it's one of those seasons we don't get a very strong Cape Verde season, and instead we get a lot of development out here in the Caribbean, in the Gulf of Mexico, and perhaps even in Florida. And this stays shut down through the rest of the season, for all we know. So for right now, the tropics remain fairly quiet. And some other YouTubers now, I did say in yesterday's video that the tropics are about to get ugly. There's mixed signals about that. Again, yesterday we were looking at a very crazy signal on the ensembles, and today what you're about to see is a whole different ball game. All right, so looking at the velocity potential, and you can see why we're seeing a lack of activity. For one thing, we have a lot of easterly velocities coming off of Africa, so that may be one of the reasons why we're not seeing a lot of development. And also, a lot of this orange over the area is not allowing for a lot of development either. And actually, the MJO signal is actually over the Western Pacific. Even so, there's green over here, though, looking at our precipitation or our accumulated. See if I could find a perfect map. Let's see here. Western Pacific. So if we actually use this, we can see more typhoons going to develop. So this gives us an idea that the MJO signal is actually over the Western Pacific, not actually over Africa anymore, and even over the Indian Ocean. So that is very interesting. It just kind of skipped on by its favorable setup. It went from Africa straight over to the Western Pacific really quickly in this forecast, with a lot of sinking unfavorability perhaps into early September. Now, this does not mean we won't see any tropical waves at all. We will still see tropical waves, but I mean, the season is looking very anemic. There's not a strong signal, a strong correlation that really screams, oh, we're going to have a hyperactive, out of control 2020-2005 season. If you guys are thinking that this is going to end up being like 2005, you are 100% wrong at the moment. This is not going to even come close to 2005 or 2020 at all. At this given rate, we might have a very dead early September. And boy, if we don't get anything through the first 15 days of September of what some of the models are and ensembles that I'm about to show you indicate, we could have one of the quietest Septembers, in a while. Possibly, I'm not going to use records for this reasoning, because we're not even sure until it's actually, things have fully went through. We went through the month with very little activity. We're not even in September yet, so hold on a second. So now looking at the GEFS, now you're going to see this on a lot of YouTube channels, and for those that are watching, okay, and I do not want you all to assume that I'm calling out other YouTubers here, okay? Freedom of speech, we get it, okay? But other YouTubers, I'm not only on YouTube, but I'm even mentioning this on Twitter as well. This is one of the funniest times on Twitter where people keep on saying, this little guy, this little tropical wave over here with a little bit of vorticity is bear watching, just because the last 4 model runs on the GFS have uptrended on that. All right. The GFS has not done very good. The European model is straight up confusing. The artificial intelligence forecasting model is really not very helpful either. There is not a strong signal. No matter if you look at Twitter or not, they're showing, oh, we're going to get a tropical storm here in the next 7 days. I see big signals coming. I don't know. I'm in the middle. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate right here, being in the middle of all of the other people. Some people going off the charts that this season's still going to be hyperactive, and so much people saying, oh, this season's just a bust. Let's not worry about the tropics anymore. I'm not kidding you. I've actually seen people on Twitter saying that this season is 100% over. We are not going to get one more named storm. It is absolutely absurd and actually immature for someone to actually say that on Twitter. I think we will see at least 3 or 4, 5 or so more named storms at the very least. At the very most, we could see 15 to 20 more named storms. We could fit a lot in a couple of months, and that's why we don't take our focus off that. Again, maybe we get a lot of development here, which, by the way, on the side note of Beryl, okay, Beryl was a Cape Verde, and then, of course, we had Ernesto. We only had 2 systems out here that developed. Can you believe that? Developed out of these tropical waves off of Africa. Alberto, we had Chris, that developed out of the Gulf. Actually, it was kind of a fair combo. Actually, we had Alberto, we had Chris, and then hold on, Debbie as well. So we had 3 Cape Verde systems already so far, because Debbie developed off of a tropical wave and it kind of did this, kind of meandered and do that. And then we had other systems kind of taking a similar track. Actually, Beryl went like this, and then you had this, and then you had Ernesto doing actually that. So we actually had 3 Cape Verde and actually pretty average Gulf so far, with 2 named storms just alone from the Central American Gyre. Remember all that shenanigans with Alberto and also with Chris developed out of the Central American Gyre. So now, what does our friendly GFS show us? Okay, get ready to see hype, folks. Yeah. Can someone explain that? If everyone is starting to glue to their eyes to the GFS model, you might want to think twice about that, because I'm about to show you the European ensemble forecast, which doesn't have anything out there. How about that? So we have the least amount or the most amount of inconsistency and uncertainty here. I mean, GFS is going straight up crazy. I mean, some of these members going as low as 948, 950 millibars. Major hurricane tracks. All of these are major hurricane tracks, perhaps. This is ridiculous. All right, absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so be careful when you look at signals like this, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. Okay, let's go over to now the European model. Actually, yeah, let's go to the European, and then we will look at the Spaghetti-O plot here in a second. So now, look at the European model. What do you see? I want you guys to let me know in chat. What do you all see on this chart? Look at this. Just kind of take a little long look. Look at the difference. Now you'll rethink about, oh, okay. Yeah, it is hard. So, I'm wondering if people, I like that word that you use on DJ the Broke. I'm wondering if people are tripping over this GFS model, and they're making hypecast posts that, oh, there's a big signal out there on the GEFS ensemble. Okay, there's a big signal until, the European model kind of gets on board with stuff, and it makes me wonder. Okay, if there's such a big signal on the GFS model, why is there no big signal on our deterministic forecast? How about that? So if you're not getting anything in the main development region, nothing whatsoever, and yet you stare at this and be like, what is going on here? So that's kind of why I'm really careful. I mean, I'm in the monkey in the middle here. I I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I really don't. Chase, get to work. Or DJ the Broke, get to work. So you can see here a big signal on the GEFS ensemble. And then look at this. Nothing. Nothing on the European other than one major hurricane track. And of course, people that want to hype up stuff will say, oh, there's still a signal on the European, David, because there's still a major hurricane. And there's still hurricane members on there. That's just, it's just like predicting to win $1 billion tomorrow. I'm not going to win $1 billion tomorrow. But I can predict I will win $1 billion tomorrow. So that's kind of why I am not confident. As me being a very great weather enthusiast, professionalist, weather forecaster here. Some people say, I don't know what I'm talking about. You're not a meteorologist because you don't know what you're saying. I do know what I'm saying. And what I'm saying here is there is a very inconsistent, incoherent signal on both the EPS and the GEFS ensemble. All right. So that's what we are seeing here. Big signal on the GEFS and a non-big signal on the Euro. So now, of course, you're going to see other people post stuff on Twitter and other social media about, oh my gosh, there's a big signal out there. Oh, David, there's still a signal at 10 days of a hurricane hitting Guadeloupe on one of the members. Okay, on one of the members. Okay. So, I mean, just because you have signals, you'll see why here in a second, doesn't always mean there will be development either. And you'll see a lot of charts like this, like, oh my gosh, wow, the GEFS is going ballistic, going Hurricane Mageddon at predicting a big signal of major hurricanes out there that develop into the Gulf of Mexico, as well as into Western Atlantic. By the way, a DJ the Broken Chase, please hide those people that keep on spamming. Thank you very much. We will have zero tolerance for spamming in this YouTube channel, so make sure that they are hidden immediately. So we can see big signal. I mean, someone would actually hype this up. And you can see why different members here indicating different things. And ensemble member 14 predicting a major hurricane. But then you look at all these other models and they have different outcomes. So we really don't know what's going to actually happen. And I will show you why here in a second. And I showed someone this and they really understand. They really do understand that I mean business with what I'm talking about. All right. So let's go back to, okay, so this, we're going to actually just say, we're going to go to, what day do you guys want me to go out to on the ensemble forecast? By the way, welcome Chase, welcome DJ the Broke. You guys are doing great. What's up, Rodney, Shelby? How are you doing? September 6th? I don't think I can go out to September 6th because, well, I have to go back in time. So we could probably just do the 2nd, or actually we'll do the 3rd of September. So remember this signal, and I'm just going to open this up in a new image. All right, this is the signal based on the latest run of the European ensemble forecast. So now we're going to kind of go back and rewind ourselves. Okay. Let's go back to the 18th of August. Remember, there is Ernesto. There is Ernesto. And you'll see, actually, you know what? Let me go back here. Give me some time, folks. Give me some time. Actually, we'll have to go way back to here, the 15th. Actually, let's go to the 0Z, because that's going to... I want to find the strongest signal first. Here is a good, strong signal from the European. Yeah, the 0Z on the 17th was a pretty good signal. So you will see that this was only September 1st. Okay, and let's kind of open that up too. September 1st, September 2nd. I know it's down by, it's kind of, I've moved it forward a little bit here, but we can see, look at that. Oh, big signal coming up on the European model. Oh my gosh, we got to get prepared for a major hurricane possibly to hit the islands. And then guess what? Just kidding. It's not even there. Ha! How about that? How about that? Ain't no signal out there in early September. Nothing. Nothing at all. So, yeah. We went from a mighty signal, possibly a potential big one, to that. To that. So, and I think what the problem here is, again, look at all these members. Look at all these members leaving Africa so far north. So far north. I mean, that's north of the Cabo Verde Islands. Here's our Cabo Verde Islands off of Africa. These are coming off way too far north. This is the problem. This is a huge, huge problem. So as this goes further south, whenever that is, potentially in mid-September, for Pete's sakes, we may not get a lot of Cape Verde systems until we get probably towards mid to late September, perhaps, when I think this gets far enough south when things could develop and we start getting more development. Which, by the way, if you put this in a box, if these systems were ordered to move west, they would be barely north of these islands. So, yeah, that's pretty far north versus down here. Remember early on in the season, which, by the way, Beryl formed from a tropical wave way down here. Okay, that was much further south than what we're seeing right now. And so that makes a huge difference on what's going to happen. Very little signal on the European ensemble from the Gulf of Mexico. So there is a Russian roulette with the model guidance. It is very deceiving, and it is, it is hard to put your mind around it. And you can see here, this previous run from the 06Z actually had a Cat 4 hurricane track, versus this run has more tracks. We'll see what the 18Z shows once it comes in. And right now, we don't have the 18Z model run in just yet. And so once that comes in, we will be able to bring that to you if it's done in time. So I don't know which model to believe. I really don't know. Do I believe the European ensemble? Do I believe the GFS? But I will tell you right now, if we look at the Canadian model, also no development out there. Oh, wait, hold on. There is development out there. Wow, this is actually the first time I've seen the Canadian in a while. So I'm probably getting ahead of myself. I don't think that's going to develop. I really don't think so just yet. Let's see with what the icon actually shows. Yeah, see, the icon's not even picking it up. Yeah, see, the icon is not even picking it up at all either. So only one model has this right now, and that's the Canadian model. The GFS model doesn't have it yet. So I am really frustrated with how this weather pattern is actually evolving. I mean, it's just giving us surprises. And I'm really worried someone's going to get killed with all of this once things get active, because it's like social media, hence its name. Remember, social media. And I think that was a lightning strike in the distance. lovely. We got thunderstorms outside to our north. Yeah, and it's late August, really. I mean, it's literally 67 degrees outside here. It's pretty cold. It's like 30 to 40 degrees below average here. Feels like winter. We'll see if I hear the thunder, but yeah. But yeah, don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna play it safe. I really am gonna play it safe. And people might say, stop the freaking underhype casting. Stop underhyping the season, David. Well, let's just put it this way. All right. Would you rather me underhype the season? Or would you rather me overhype the season? Because I'll tell you, I can tell you, I'm not going to mention their names. I'm not trying to be rude for those that support other YouTube channels. I'm no shame, no harm to anyone. But again, you know, you don't want to listen to someone that's going to fearmonger that's saying this hurricane season is going to be historically dangerous. And then it's not. Right? So it goes in two ways. When I have almost 26,000 subs and I get 30,000 people watching me per video, I really gotta keep it down. I gotta keep it down and keep my lips shut. Believe me, I almost want to hype things up, but half of me tells me that, you know what? I got a big audience that really relies on me. You guys love watching me for a specific reason, and I've got to do my job properly, and that is to take things a little bit more conservative. Take things a little bit more conservative. Even other Twitter people are going to say, just because the last 4 runs have, and actually, let me show you this. Someone on Twitter made a little bit of a kind of a funny thing about this little wave off of Africa. See this little orange area right here? And I wanted to explain this a little bit more better. Okay, look at the previous model runs. Okay, look at this. You can see that just because it moves further south does not mean, oh, it's going to develop. That's what someone on Twitter was saying, that, oh, this wave could be the one that we really need to watch that could develop into a tropical storm or hurricane as it moves into the Caribbean because of the recent trends on the GFS. You really cannot look at trends. You need to look at signals. And again, please, folks, I want you all to do your homework. Now, I'm going to give you guys homework. How about that? How does that sound? I'm going to give you all homework to do. Look at signals. Look at those ensembles. Deterministic at this point is like, how can I try to kind of explain this? It's kind of like, I want to get $1 billion. Oh, I'm gonna try to break into that lottery machine and try to steal $1 million. But just because one person doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. In other words, the GFS deterministic model is not reliable right now. It really isn't. You have to look at the ensembles, and it's even more inconsistent when you're putting this on top of when you're adding in this. Oops, let me zoom up all the way up to the 12Z run. I mean, this versus this. What is your choice? I mean, what are you all going to say? I don't know, David, what we're going to see in early September. In other words, we're going to have to wait. We're just going to have to play devil's advocate here, and it's sad. We have to nowcast. That's where we are at right now, because our models are not cooperating. They are not resolving things very good at all. Remember Barrel? Remember how late the GFS kind of grabbed onto Barrel? And actually, it didn't do very well on that system. It only predicted it to become a Cat 1 hurricane. Guess what Barrel was? Cat 5 hurricane. So I'm not saying don't trust a GFS model, but it's working through some bad times right now. It's like, it's negotiating on what's going to happen out there in the Atlantic. What is this wave going to do? What is that going to do? And everything. Are we going to get a busy season? I still think we're going to have a really busy September. It could all end this way. What if we get our first named storm on the 4th of September? It didn't need to be on the 20th of August, but what about on the 7th of September or the 5th of September? That is still before the peak of hurricane season. And another way to put it this way, the chances of you seeing a tropical storm or any kind of named storm on the 10th of September is at least 80 to 90%. Why is that? You guys answer my question in the chat. Why do you think we're going to see a storm likely on September 10th? What's up, Dark Steve? How are you doing? Florida on watch. Yeah. Not exactly trusting the AI model. Oh, and by the way, did you guys hear about the iPhone 16 is coming out and they're going to have AI, artificial intelligence? Yeah, they're going to have artificial intelligence in their smartphones. And I will be purchasing one of those smartphones. I'm going to trade in my iPhone 15 and I'm going to get an iPhone 16, which will be nice. Happy birthday, Dark Steve. On the 23rd, 3 days after the bell ring from Dr. Gray, he says. So you can see here just not a whole lot going on the GFS. Now, that's not to say maybe the Canadian is a Canadian onto something. We could say the same thing to the GFS too. Is the GFS onto something that's not showing any activity? We could say the same thing for the Euro as well. The latest Euro, not showing anything. And actually, why is a Euro showing a tropical storm over Africa in the desert region? You might ask. See, I'm telling you, these models are going bonkers. They're just going really bonkers with everything. And it'd be interesting how this all pans out. Let's see about the APHIS model. Excuse me. So we can see the APHIS still wants a hurricane. Very interesting. It's been showing that for a while too. Really a while. If we actually go back right about here, it's been showing that. That's going to be, oh man, hiccups. Excuse me, folks. Sorry, I'm not trying to have hiccups here. They're annoying, I'll tell you. So yeah, it's very interesting what the AI model does. It's the only kind of outlier here. Yeah, even the Canadian, if you go back and look at the Canadian, that wave, that same thing is actually further back. So yeah, a lot of mess to work out, a lot of concerns. Which, by the way, if this does form, this would be technically, if this becomes a tropical storm, this would be on the 1st of September, just like we had just a couple of years ago when we had our first named storm on the 1st of September. So we'll see if nature repeats itself again. All right, so I wanted to show you all the sea surface temperatures on what is going on out there. So the question is, are the sea surface temperatures warm enough for even a very busy season? Yes, they certainly are. This is from a couple of years ago, by the way. This is last year. Last year was very warm. We all remember how warm the main development region was. Now, people are saying this year's hyper is record warm in the Atlantic. It really actually isn't. And here's why. First of all, let's go back. The entire Atlantic last year was way above average, pretty much. This year, look at the difference. Look at how much cooler it is up here in the northern tier of the Atlantic. All this upward motion is more, or not upward motion, all this warm sea surface temperature water is more contingent down further south into the central Atlantic, into the main development region, where we have all of this above average water temperatures. Almost 2 degrees Celsius. And then, of course, your Gulf is on fire right now with very warm sea surface temperatures. Hey Diana, how are you doing? How are you doing, sweetheart? I hope you're doing great. Also, it is worth noting too, last year too, we had our very warm Atlantic Nino. Okay, this year we have a more Atlantic neutral going on down here in the deep tropics, which also affects where the intertropical convergence zone is going to be located. It all adds up. All right, but yes, theoretically, things are in place. The water temperatures overall in the Atlantic are running above average, except for the far northern tier there. That's going to be interesting on how much does this actually cool off for this season. Look at this. Even over western Hudson Bay, very cool. Well below average there with some ice. Some ice has not melted over there yet in western Hudson Bay. Very interesting. Just kind of these little things just pop out to you sometimes. So now what about the upper ocean heat content? Very big question about that. Well, it is definitely a big one. This is from a few years ago. Remember that season, folks, gave us a lot of named storms. But I want to make it clear with you all too. And I'm going to show you some data here that really illustrates numbers don't count in this situation with number of named storms. But I wanted to show you here upper ocean heat content. That year was extreme. But it's even more extreme this year. Take a look at how much dark red we have on the screen. Look at all this dark red, literally overspreading much of the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico. I've talked about this a lot. And again, this is 2020, 3 years ago, and this is this year, 4 years ago. Actually, 2020 was 4 years ago, sorry. And this year, 2024. Getting my words all jumbled up. Man, I'm just talking all over. I'm just rambling, I feel like. But yeah, upper ocean heat content this year is on steroids. I have never, and I will hype this up. All right, people say I'm fear-mongering. No, I am hyping this up, and this is absolutely historical. This is off the charts, unprecedented upper ocean heat content, something that out of a sci-fi movie. Literally, this is just incredible. And I did some detailed measurements over here, folks. The upper ocean heat content to the southwest and west of Jamaica is approaching 225 to 250 units. All right, 250 units, folks. That is way above this dark red color off of Jamaica. So in other words, the 80 degree isotherm. So think about that in Fahrenheit. You put your feet in the water and, oh my goodness, it feels like 90 degrees. You go deep down into the ocean, it is still warm. Guess how far down? I want you all to guess, okay? How far down does the 80 degree isotherm extend? Guess. I want you all to guess how far down it extends. You all guess. Come on. Guessing, little trivia, little multiple choice question here. You all, so far, a lot of you are way off. Have you heard of the term 700 feet? Have you heard of the term 700 feet down? 700 feet down. Upper ocean heat content extends, or the 80 degree isotherm, 26 degree Celsius isotherm extend. Yeah, 675 to 700 feet down below the surface. That is incredible. That is absolutely mind-boggling. Yeah. I don't want to scare you all. I really don't want to scare you all, but that is just more octane fuel. That's more gas to your engine. Remember, if you run your engine with more gas than what is needed, you could afterfire. You could hear explosions coming out of your tailpipe because you're running too much fuel into the engine. That's basically what this is. We're just adding and adding more heat to these oceans. And believe it or not, this will not peak. The upper ocean heat content does not peak until mid to late September in the Caribbean. So we have a little bit, we have about a month to go before this peaks, and I only could imagine on how much higher this could actually get. Before you all ask, the Gulf of Mexico has its highest upper ocean heat content ever recorded. We have never seen upper ocean heat content that high in the Gulf. Little two eyes here, and looks like a little bit of a monster's mouth there. I guess when I look at things long enough, they kind of pop out at you. So we could actually zoom in and look at that, and you can see, look at, even when we zoom in, there is your 200, and this is where I'm getting that 225, 250 to, actually 225 to 250 units. And then, of course, down here, 200, a little over 200. Then look at this, in the Gulf, over 200, and then well over 175 here in this other little piece of upper ocean heat content. So imagining if we get a system that moves into the Gulf, oh my gosh, you better not take your eyes off of it. You better not, because yeah, we could have a lot of surprise development out there. So one other thing I wanted to share with you all too. Okay, I'm probably going to limit this to only live streams because people have a lot of questions and concerns about the map that I'm about to show you all right here. This map, okay, I want to make it clear, and I showed this with Ethan, and I will be transparent with all of you that watch this live stream. This map that you're seeing, okay, is the maximum potential intensity. Okay, potential means the max, the possibility that these systems could have with them. All right, this does not mean that you will see a Cat 5 hurricane, but the oceans, the moisture, the thermodynamic profile could really favor something very big, very big. Okay, so the first map that I wanted to show you all here is what's the lowest pressure that the Gulf could support. Okay, Rehan, please, I don't want to scare anybody. I'm not here to scare people. Look at this map for yourself. Actually, I'm going to put a link. How does that sound? I'm going to put a link in the chat so you all can check that out. So at least you have peace of mind on this. All right. So what this is showing us, again, assuming that there's enough moisture, our sea surface temperatures are sufficiently warm, how deep do these waters go, all right, and other factors that take into consideration, all right. So basically, the Gulf of Mexico is open for serious business, all right. That's all I'm going to say. The dark red colors indicate very low sea level pressure potential, also into the Eastern Caribbean, even into the Northwestern Caribbean. You saw what happened with Beryl. You saw what happened with Michael. You saw what happened with Ian. And some big famous hurricanes, folks, they could spin up very quickly out of nowhere. And that's really why we cannot take our eyes off of this. Imagining if we get a wave that moves through here and takes the most amount of time to move over to the open waters, it's not going to end very well at all. Look at the maximum intensity here. Potentially, literally the entire Gulf here could favor Cat 5 hurricane, literally, and into the Caribbean, Cat 4, Cat 5 intensity, much of the Atlantic, Cat 4, Cat 5 intensity, all right? In simple ways, this is not good. This is not good at all, and I don't like saying that word, but I mean, we know what could happen. Yeah, late start means that these waters get more warmer. It's untapped heat right here, okay? Untapped disturbing waters over here. And this could, again, get more warmer, more higher upper ocean heat content. So by late September, if we get anything that gets into the Caribbean, I'm not saying it will be in late September. It could be much earlier than that. But if we get any systems, like I said, folks, that take full advantage with the atmospheric conditions, light shear, not much moisture, and lots of upper ocean heat content, it's not going to end very well. It is not going to end very well. And I am really concerned about a lot of people living in the Caribbean, like Jamaica, the Windward, Leeward, Greater, and Lesser Antilles, and especially the Gulf. I mean, think about Ian. That was a late September system, and that yet became a Cat 5 hurricane. Yeah, in late September. So, in other words, we might see more of the ACE producing systems than the number of named storms this season than, say, more named storms over ACE. All right. And here's another way to look at it. Oh, yeah, I know, TRG. Yeah, 880 millibars, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, but that's the potential, the maximum potential. I almost said potential twice. All right, so now this is a wake-up call for a lot of you. All right, question is, and I'll ask you guys this stupid question. Has it been busy in the Atlantic? Well, let's take a look. Let's kind of look at the data very closely. Do you not see other seasons that were actually busier that actually had lower ACE? Well, let's take a look here. Well, 157 ACE points, that was 1955. Well, let's look at 1955. 1955 Atlantic hurricane season. Well, let's take a look at that. How many named storms did we get? We got, let's see. Oops, let me zoom this out because that's not showing up completely for me. All right, there we go. So that season only had 13 storms. 13 storms. And yet, that season ended up with 157 ACE points, above average, despite the lackluster of named storms. All right. And then 1995, let's look at 1995 for an example. That had 227 ACE points. So let's go to 1995. That had, well, 19 named storms. 19 named storms. And look at how long tracked, oops. Where did it go? Right here, we had literally 5 long-tracked major hurricanes. All right, so there's your difference. All right, 5 long-track hurricanes versus short-lived major hurricanes makes a huge difference with our ACE score. And so that's why we really do have to look at the ACE score and say, okay, we only had 5 named storms. That's good. It's not good, of course, because they all impacted land, but other seasons have had higher numbers than this. If we don't get a system by middle of September, then we will end up being normal or average. But, we're still within the realm of recovering even into late September. In other words, it's never too late. It really isn't too late. And I think if the Canadian comes to be correct, that would be our next potential tropical system or hurricane, perhaps, based on that one model. Again, basing my judgment off of that one model, we could end up having something that looks like this, and then we jump up again, and we stay above that average, and then we see more activity, and then I can see ourselves still ending up with almost 200 ACE points. It is still a possibility. Even so, we don't get 30 named storms or 33 named storms. I don't think we're going to have more than 20 named storms. I think we're done with having 20. More like we're going to have like 15 more storms, maybe 18 at the very most. Which, by the way, 18 plus 5 makes 23 named storms this season, which is right with what Colorado State University predicts. So, yeah. It feels like it hasn't been that busy, but when you factor in ace points, it has been very busy. And we are not far. I want to make it clear, we're not far behind 2005. We're not far behind 1995, which also gave out over 225 ace points. Okay, and some of the above average seasons, even this season over here, 2008 was really busy in ace producing. And this time around, this ace to this date was only 47. We're up to 55 ace units. We have a lot to make up right now, but we're ahead of the game. We really are. We really are. I mean, it kind of reminds me of 2022. Let's look at that Atlantic hurricane season. Did someone just... Okay, no, I thought that was just recently. So if we look at that season, we started off really late. Well, we ended up with 2 major hurricanes. Well, we had one already, but this is what we may end up seeing this year again, but every season's different. All right, I think I cleared a lot of the confusion. So if you guys think I am underhyping, please realize there is a reason for that. There really is. All right, because we really don't know what's going to happen. I wish I can tell you that every single ensemble signal is calling for a hyperactive parry. Then I could be like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a very bad September. It really is. But when we just showed you the information. I mean, I'm not going to believe one ensemble model like some people are going to do because they expect a hyperactive season. I bet you 50 or 60% of the people out there on social media are like, oh, there's still a big signal, mighty signal based on our GFS. But let me ask you this question. Have you taken a look at the European model? I mean, just because I don't know does not mean I am not professional. I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm stupid. No, I'm not. I don't want you guys to think that, okay? I'm more generous, okay? I am going to be more generous for many reasons, Because one, I'm at 25,300 subs. And secondly, I'm relatively big out there. I really am. I'm big on Twitter and I'm also big on YouTube. So I really got to kind of keep my craft going and stay generous. If you notice, the smaller the YouTuber is, the more hyping they're going to do because, well, they're not big, so they're not going to get as much exposure. They're really not on YouTube or on other social medias. Man, it is really dark outside. Man, that is a nasty looking sky. I'm actually, is it raining? I think it's raining outside. Wow, it's really dark outside. Can't believe it. I feel like it's October, not September or even August. I want to just look at radar. Is it actually raining in my area? Oh, not really. Man, it's barely 70 degrees outside. That's crazy. So, do you guys have any questions for me? David, I think you're doing a super great job. Thank you so much. Maybe the Euro is out to lunch. Maybe it is. But I'm not going to say that because there is that 50-50 signal. We are only able to pull up the ensemble tracks from both of these models. We don't have a Canadian ensemble forecast that we can pull up here on the stream, unfortunately. But I'm going to remain 50-50 with my prediction. I really am. I'm not going to hype things up until it's needed. All right? When I hype things up, folks, it's not to get more views, to get more clicks. I want you guys to understand that when watching my streams here. I'm not out there for the clicks to grab people's attention. When things need to be hyped up, it's because they need to be hyped up. I mean, a Cat 5 hurricane headed your direction. Would you rather me under predict that and be like, it's not going to be it's not going to be a major hurricane, folks. You guys don't need to worry about a Cat 5. That would be a really bad job of me to do. It really would. You guys would be like, I'm not watching this guy anymore. He's underplaying everything. He's just an underplayer. Thank you, Leon. I do appreciate that. From Brazil. So that's in Central America. What's up, Tony Wilson? How are you doing? You do a great job, David. That's why I became a member. I appreciate that, Sandra. All right. I'm going to actually have to head off really soon here. Any last questions? So I want to let you all know in future updates, folks, you are going to see some, clickbaity kind of thumbnails, but there's different kinds of clickbait. There really is. There's the bad form of clickbait and there's the good form of clickbait. The bad form of clickbait is literally putting a major Cat 5 hurricane in the middle of the Atlantic, aiming it towards the Gulf of Mexico when not one member indicates that there's going to be a major hurricane. Then that's a bad form of clickbait. All right, a good form of clickbait is putting a cone of uncertainty, which I did in this thumbnail, and I clearly stated question marks. Have you noticed that? Question marks, illustrating the degree of uncertainty. So then you're going to say, oh, it's clickbait, but it's good clickbait, you know? Part of the video marketing is part of doing that. You have to make thumbnails that are going to get people's attention. You can do a lot of research on YouTube on everything about that. Ryan Hall does it. I'm not going to mention every YouTuber, but I can mention the YouTubers that I know really well. DW does it. Weatherman Plus does it. Ryan Hall does it. Let's see. Pat does it. I can name 30 or 40 YouTube channels out there. All right. I'm not calling out anyone. I just want to make that clear, but I can name 40, 50 different weather channels that literally do kind of the same thing like I do. Thank you, MC. I do appreciate that. All right, I wanted to get to a question about the upper ocean heat content. Sorry if I missed your question. Let's see. Something about upper ocean heat content. I'm assuming, will the upper ocean heat content continue to increase? Yes, it will continue to increase until mid to late September. That's what I predict. That's what I do actually predict. It's going to continue to increase because our sun angle down here in the deep tropics, right now, I can even tell you on my app, which, by the way, I highly recommend you all to download Lumos. Actually, is it? Yeah, download Lumos today on your iPhone. Let me bring up my camera. Download this app because you could actually get how high the sun is going to be over your area, and you could actually get a detailed time of when your sunsets are going to be. And right now, the sun angle over the deep tropics, funny enough, right now in the southern Caribbean, it is still almost 90 degrees above the horizon at solar noon. So yeah, the sun is just aiming straight down onto the Caribbean. Thank you so much, DJ The Broke. I do appreciate that. Thank you, Brady111. I try to be as good as I can. No one's perfect, and I'm going to be open and honest. I'm going to be transparent with you all. I'm not 100% perfect. No one is 100% perfect out there. We all have our little mistakes, and it's a learning curve. You know, I will learn from my mistakes by running this channel based on what you guys like me to do, what you guys don't like me, like what I say or do may impact, okay, I said this in my video, I got to work on maybe not saying that in the next video, right? So you have to kind of tweak up stuff a little bit. It's like, well, putting a new part on the car. If it doesn't run the way you want it to run, you got to tweak things a little bit. What's up, PM? How are you doing? How are you doing? What's up, Titan? Yeah, which, by the way, Titan, you may have a hard judgment on who to watch for severe weather. I am going to do severe weather next season, folks. Maybe the second season, probably not, though. But for springtime, I am really hoping to put my foot forward on severe weather for 2025. But with work, with other stuff going on, I mean, it is not easy to take time out of your day to stream every single day. I mean, if I stream, excuse me. If I stream every severe weather event, it's going to probably be at least a slight risk or greater. I keep on saying that, then I don't do it. But I'm going to try to make the time for that for severe weather season next year. And of course, I am here for the winter season too and the hurricane season. This season may be a bust or busy, who knows? And like I said, I'm saying the same thing. Will it be a boom or will it be a bust? And right now, we shall see. Now, there is something, though, that we do need to watch. Like I said, actually, that's 2 waves. I am just seeing this for the first time. I went ahead of myself again. So there are 2 systems, one in the Gulf and another one to move into the Gulf. Again, these could really fly under the radar, all right? But one run is not going to tell me, oh, we're going to have 2 systems moving into the Gulf. No, I'm going to be more careful about that. But something to keep in mind, that's why I'm watching every single GFS model. Every single GFS model. Yeah, same here, PM. I don't know why. However, PM, you might want to look at the Canadian model. Yeah, look at the Canadian model, and then you ask me if that's believable or not. So with the heat content in the Gulf of Mexico, so bad, can Gulf states get hit really bad? Well, in other words, you probably are saying, yeah, with the upper ocean heat content in the Gulf, storms could spin up extremely fast and unexpectedly. So remember Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Michael, they entered the Gulf at tropical storm. Actually, yeah, Laura entered the Gulf at Cat 1, I think, or a high-end tropical storm, and then became a Cat 4. So, yes, the Gulf is going to really have to be watched, especially in September and October. Exactly, Dark Steve, you're with me on that. Yes, this season has... Well, if we don't get any more named storms in 5 storms of the entire season, name-wise, it would have been a bust. It would be a bust, but by impact-wise, it wouldn't be. It's technically this season has been very impactful so far. I lost my home in Laura. Yeah, Laura, oh my gosh. Laura was a really bad hurricane. Michael was as well. Ian, oh my gosh, Ian came off of Cuba, I think, at Cat 2 and became a Cat 5 in literally 24 hours. And yes, that did not spend a big distance over the Gulf. It only was about how much time it would have. Yes, we are, PM. I do understand with what you're saying that we are getting close to average. Technically, we are. But remember, we won't cross-sect. I don't know what I did with I actually closed it down, but we're not going to hit average, the median, the mean average, until about the 15th or the 16th of September, which I am very sure we're going to have at least one named storm or 2 before then. So we will see about that. All right, I was pretty much there, and then it became a Cat 4. Yeah, I do agree on that, PM2. All right, okay, I think I'm done with questions. Be sure you all subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am going to be doing a video. Wait, let's see, what's tomorrow? I'm going to try to get out a video tomorrow. I'm going to try my very, very best. It depends on everything. And I'm going to try to keep you all updated on the tropics because right now, we cannot take our eyes off the tropics. We really, really, really can't in the Atlantic. Even so, there's nothing out there on the models at this point. Again, ensembles. Look at the ensembles, folks. Don't look at the deterministic unless you really are confident that something is not right or you think something is actually going to develop. All right. But anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon to get latest updates. And also, before I do head off, be sure to check out my Twitter page because I'm going to continue doing these daily tropical weather updates on my Twitter feed. These updates, all right, not the NHCs, but mine. So if you guys want to follow me and get the latest update on that for your neck of the woods and for my other Twitter updates on the tropics and other things, please also follow me there at Weather United 1. So let me actually put that in here in chat really quickly. Weather United 1 is where you go to follow me. There it is. I'll put it in twice so you can copy and paste that and put it in the search bar, and then you'll find me there. It's the one with the lightning. Click it, and then you will find me there. All right. Well, have a great rest of your Friday. As always, here in California, 526 with cold and cloudy conditions, and it is raining downright good right now. It's actually raining outside. Yep, I can say it's actually raining in August. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'll talk to you more tomorrow.